Mark Reynolds had never imagined that his life would come to this. Once, he had been a promising martial artist, competing in state championships, feared in the ring for his speed and precision. But those days were long gone, buried under the crushing weight of bills, late rent notices, and the responsibility of raising his 8-year-old daughter, Emily, alone. He had traded his gloves for a mop, his trophies for a set of worn-out janitor coveralls, and his cheers for the silent echo of empty school hallways after hours. Mark worked at Ridgefield High School, a place where the kids didn't even know his name. To them, he was just the guy who cleaned their mess. To Emily, he was the whole world. Every morning, he woke up before dawn, packed her lunch, and walked her to her elementary school before heading to Ridgefield to begin another 12-hour shift. He never complained, not even when his knees ached from years of strain or when the tips of his fingers cracked from chemical cleaners. What mattered was keeping food on the table and a roof over Emily's head. But fate had a strange way of reminding people who they used to be. It started on a Friday morning, the day of the school's annual martial arts exhibition, an event meant to showcase the talents of students and special guests. This year, a highlight was a pair of identical twins, Tyler and Trevor Hall, local celebrities in the martial arts community. Both were 17, both black belts in Taekwondo and Jiu-Jitsu, and both equally arrogant. They strutted through the halls in their spotless white uniforms, belts tied in perfect symmetry, acting like they owned the place. Their father was a wealthy businessman who had sponsored the event, making sure his sons had the center stage. Mark had seen their type before. Talented, yes, but spoiled to the core, using their skills to belittle rather than uplift. He kept his head down, sweeping the gym floor as they practiced their flashy kicks, spinning effortlessly, drawing a crowd of wide-eyed students. By noon, the principal, Mr. Hayes, had stopped by the gym to check on the preparations. That's when it happened. One of the twins, Tyler, smirked and pointed at Mark. "Hey, why's the janitor just standing there? Afraid the mop might beat him in a fight?" Laughter erupted from the bleachers. Mark didn't react, just kept mopping. Years of swallowing insults had taught him patience. But Trevor wasn't done. "I heard he used to fight. Come on, old man, show us a move before you break a hip." The jeers grew louder, echoing in the gym. Mark kept his voice calm. "I'm just here to clean up. Not to fight, kids." He turned to leave, but the twins had already planted the seed in everyone's mind. The students started chanting, "Fight! Fight! Fight!" Mr. Hayes tried to wave them down, but the twins pressed harder. "How about this?" Trevor grinned, 2 minutes in the ring. "If you win, we'll help clean the gym for a week. If you lose, you admit you're just a washed-up has-been." Mark could feel every eye on him. He didn't care about pride, but something in their tone, the disrespect, the mockery, sparked an old fire in his chest. He glanced toward the doorway, where Emily had just arrived after school, clutching her little backpack. She looked at him with curiosity and a hint of worry. He remembered the night she had cried when other kids made fun of her for being the janitor's daughter. Maybe it was time to remind everyone, including himself, who he really was. The crowd roared when Mark stepped toward the mat. He didn't bother changing out of his coveralls. The twins laughed openly. "This is gonna be easy," Tyler whispered to Trevor. But Mark's eyes had already gone sharp, scanning their stances, the way they distributed their weight, their overconfidence. He had trained under masters who taught him that arrogance was a fighter's biggest weakness. The whistle blew. Trevor moved first, launching a quick roundhouse aimed at Mark's head, expecting the older man to flinch or stumble. Instead, Mark sidestepped smoothly, his left hand lightly guiding Trevor's leg past him, his right foot sweeping behind Trevor's ankle. The black belt hit the mat before he even realized what happened. The crowd gasped. Tyler rushed in with a flurry of kicks, fast and aggressive, but Mark blocked them effortlessly, redirecting each strike with minimal movement, conserving energy. His calmness rattled the twins. Trevor got back up, embarrassed and furious. They decided to attack together, circling him from both sides. The gym fell silent except for the sound of their feet on the mat. Mark's senses sharpened, he could feel the rhythm of their breathing, see the tension in their shoulders before each strike. Tyler came in low, Trevor high, but Mark pivoted, catching Trevor's arm mid-strike, twisting it in a controlled lock that forced him to the ground again. With his free leg, he blocked Tyler's incoming kick, then used the momentum to push him back several steps. The crowd went wild. This wasn't supposed to happen. The twins were undefeated in local tournaments, but here they were, getting handled by a man in janitor overalls. The final blow came when Tyler lunged recklessly, trying to land a spinning hook kick. Mark ducked under it, grabbed him by the collar, and swept his legs out from under him in one fluid motion. Both twins were on the mat, panting, defeated. Mark didn't gloat. He simply stepped back, offered them a hand up, and said, "A true fighter doesn't need to humiliate others to prove themselves." The gym exploded in applause. Emily ran up to him, hugging his waist tightly. For the first time in years, Mark saw respect in the eyes of the students. The twins, red-faced and humbled, muttered apologies. Mark picked up his mop, returning to his work as if nothing had happened, but deep inside, a spark had been reignited. Chapter 2. The fight had gone viral within hours. Someone had recorded the entire thing and posted it online. By the next morning, Mark's phone, an old, cracked-screen model, was blowing up with notifications. "Dad, you're famous," Emily said, laughing as she showed him the video that had already racked up hundreds of thousands of views. People were calling him the janitor sensei and mop master. But Mark didn't care about fame. What mattered was the shift in how people treated him at the school. Students greeted him respectfully. Teachers invited him to sit with them in the staff room. Even Mr. Hayes seemed to look at him differently, as if finally seeing more than just a custodian. But not everyone was pleased. The twins' father, Gregory Hall, was furious. He claimed Mark had humiliated his sons in front of the entire school and demanded a rematch, this time at a charity event he was hosting, with professional referees and an even bigger audience. Mark didn't want to fight again, but Gregory made it personal. "If you're too scared, just say so," he said smugly during a PTA meeting, loud enough for everyone to hear. "But I guess mopping floors is safer than real competition." The room went silent. Emily's hand tightened around Mark's. He could see the hope in her eyes, not for the fight itself, but for him to stand up, to show that no one could belittle them again. So Mark agreed. The charity event was set for the following Saturday, in a packed sports arena. The twins had been training relentlessly, determined to redeem themselves. Rumor had it they'd even brought in a private MMA coach. But Mark wasn't worried about their new tricks. He spent the week training quietly in his garage after work, focusing on endurance, precision, and the one thing most fighters overlooked, control. Emily would sit on a chair, watching him practice, sometimes holding up pads for him to strike. It reminded him of the bond he once had with his late wife, who had been his greatest supporter before cancer took her away. The day of the rematch arrived. The arena was buzzing, cameras flashing, the crowd eager for drama. Gregory made a show of introducing his sons, listing their titles and victories. When it was Mark's turn, there was no flashy intro, just the quiet walk of a man in a plain shirt and sweatpants, calm as still water. The bell rang. This time, the twins were more cautious. They moved in coordinated patterns, feinting to draw him into traps. But Mark read their intentions like an open book. Every time they tried to corner him, he slipped out with footwork so fluid it looked effortless. Minutes passed with the crowd on edge, no one landing a decisive blow. Then, Tyler made the first real mistake, overcommitting on a takedown attempt. Mark sprawled, countered with a swift knee tap, and had him on the mat in seconds. Trevor tried to capitalize, but Mark spun, caught him in a standing arm drag, and forced him off balance. The pace intensified. The twins fought hard, landing a few glancing blows, but Mark's years of discipline shone through. His counters were precise, his timing impeccable. Near the end of the final round, he executed a double sweep, taking both brothers down at once, a move so fast the crowd didn't realize what had happened until they saw the twins lying side by side, blinking up at the ceiling lights. The referee raised Mark's hand. The arena erupted. Emily ran into the ring, tears streaming down her face as she hugged him. Cameras flashed, commentators shouted, but all Mark could think was how proud his daughter looked. Gregory was speechless, forced to shake Mark's hand in front of everyone. That night, Mark walked home with Emily under the glow of